I'm 14 years old. I study in Santa Maria School in Blanes. I was born here too, and I lived in Blanes all my life. This town is the first village of Costa Brava. Through history, Blanes has changed a lot. Years ago, Blanes didn't have any flat or high buildings. The cars were simpler and cheaper, and the people walked easily through the streets that are so busy nowadays. Since I was a little girl, my grandfather has talked to me about history in my town. He loved both history and his hometown, Blanes. That's the reason why I love history and I love learning things about the old past of Blanes. And now, I start to tell one thing that changed the history of my town. It has nothing to do with wars or distraction. On the contrary, it has to do with progress and work. The beginning of a factory that will become the most important factory of fibrana, nylon, and tergal in Spain. I'm talking about the Selva. This factory creates a lot of work, and many people of my family work there, like my grandparents. They work there together, but when my grandparents started to work, the factory wasn't new. It had opened its doors in 1923. My grandparents weren't the only members of my family who were there. Two of my aunts were there as well. So the history of the Selva is closely related about the history of my town and the history of my family. This factory made the village grow. But why such an irrelevant factory choose a village like Blanes? That's a good question. There are two main reasons that explain that fact. First, the water. In the outskirts of Blanes, you can find the river Turdera. Water is very important in the work of artificial fibers. Second, the port and the train station, ideal to receive and to send materials and products. There are other reasons such as the area. Blanes was cheaper, and there were minor taxes of production, like in other places, like in Barcelona. The evolution of the workers was remarkable. When the factory started, it had 400 of workers, more or less, and in 1964, for example, they had 2,300 of workers. Part of these workers came from different parts of Spain, like Extremadura, Andalusia, or Murcia, so they came to live in Blanes. At the beginning, in the factory, they only spoke Spanish. Catalan was prohibited, but workers spoke Catalan among them. Selva wasn't only a strict factory. Selva welcomed the children of workers too. They spent a week in a community house and they did a lot of activities. Now, it isn't the same. It changed its name. It's called Nilstar. It isn't the most important factory in Spain, but it produces the same. Why such an irrelevant factory change? I don't know. The time changes, I suppose. Selva was a very useful factory in Blanes and in Spain, and my grandfather missed the job in there. Sometimes he goes to work around his factory. Selva was very important in his life, and it was very important in the life of hundreds of workers that they have spent all their lives in this factory. As I've explained it, this factory has been a really important historical event because it changed the landscape and it changed the life of hundreds of people in my town. And well, that's the end of my presentation. I hope that you enjoyed it a lot and you could learn something of Blanes. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.